Hello, SuperCoaches. What a crazy teams day to start 2026. The Vegas sides are in. There was only 4 of them announced. But geez, they packed some drama into those 4 sides. Fletcher Sharpe was out, then he was in, then he was out, then he was in. Eventually, he is in at 5'8". It was similar with Trey Mooney. He was benched, then he was starting, bench starting. He's starting, so good news on both those two. Wilson Smith, pretty wild little afternoon.
Mate, I've been chopping and changing my team all afternoon based on some mail coming in that certain players, that we thought were in were suddenly out, and then come Teams Day, they are named. So, I've been making changes all afternoon.
You went live with your team. You didn't go live, but you prepared your team reveal with 11 changes at about, midday today. Has anything changed since then?
Well, things did change, but then they unchanged. So luckily I don't have to change anything.
There's a rogue mail flying around absolutely everywhere. But what's your biggest takeaway from the teams today?
I think my biggest takeaway is Trey Mooney is actually starting. Like you just said, we had some mail coming through that it looked like he was actually going to miss out, which I think he's in like 36% of teams or something like that. So would have been pretty massive if he was out, and a lot of people would have basically had to have moved on if he was coming off the bench, I think. But luckily he is named to start, so I think I'm just going to stick with him.
Just one of, I think, 4 really good mid-rangers that got confirmed today. We'll get to the others in a sec, but Hamish Stewart, Heilum Luki, and another one both look really good as well. For me, biggest takeaway, Fletcher Sharpe coming in at 5'8" for the Knights. Now, this question has been up in the air for the entire preseason. It has been answered with Fletcher Sharpe in the 6 jersey. He had the top average in that position last year. He's basically unaffected by the new scoring system, which is rare because basically every 5'8" is losing 4, 5, 6%. So I really like him at 1.7% ownership currently. He's a massive pod.
Yeah, no, massive pod, and arguably the best 5'8" at the position. The only issue I have is that he is the most expensive at the position as well. Yep. And so if I had extra cash, I would definitely take a look at him. And people who in the past few days have done their drafts will be absolutely cheering if they took him, because I think lots of draft leagues, you would have been able to get some pretty good value out of him. So now they'd be absolutely cheering. Yeah,
he's going to go really high in drafts now. In terms of this weekend, he did get ruled out of the final trial with a hamstring injury. So that's something to watch as well. He is quite an injury-prone player. It certainly comes with risk, this trade. But a lot of people are going really light on at 5'8" with someone like Cody Walker and Jonah Pezzett in the second slot. So it's a spot where you can get a real jump on people. Yeah,
and I think because of the perceived lack of options at 5'8", most people are just going with Jonah Pezzett and Cam Munster, or some sort of combination there. So you could be in for a massive win if you do deviate, because most people will just go with that approach.
This also means that Dylan Brown plays halfback, so he will not get dual position for SuperCoach. Hate to say we told you so, but back in November, December, when we were putting the positions together, we got canned for only having him as a halfback for SuperCoach, but he's been named there for round 1.
It's nice to get a win every now and then.
Are we going to get any apologies in the mail, you reckon?
I doubt it.
Very highly doubt it. Okay, other big storylines to come out of today. Jacob Kiraz named. Do you like him? He's up 4% on the new scoring system, but that buy-in round 2.
Yeah, I do really like him still, and I like the going big on centre wing approach. But I have the cash to go Herbie, and the buy in round 2 is slightly annoying. So I think for that reason alone, I will not go him round 1. But he is a pretty low ownership, so I wouldn't blame anyone who does just go start the year with him, because I don't think you can really go wrong. But I think if you've got the cash, there's other really good options there that don't have the buy in round 2.
I think I prefer Herbie Farnworth, Kale Iro, and Latrell. And I've probably only got enough room for 3-gun guys at centre wing. So I've got those ahead, but I'll be watching him and probably closing my eyes at stages because he is such a good SuperCoach player. Jermaine McKewen starting. So that's great, because in games of over 50 minutes last year, he averaged 55. Could even play 80 minutes this year. Kai Pearce-Paul's gone. It's good news. We've just got so many mid-rangers in the forward pack this year.
Yeah, and Jermaine McKewen is someone who had been in my team for most of the preseason when we thought he was going to start, and then there was some suggestion that Thomas Cant would start over him. So he was out of my team a few weeks ago, but I brought him back in, and yeah, there's so many good mid-range forwards, and he's one of those solid options, I think.
Let's talk about another one, Hamish Stewart. So named on the bench in the trials, then he's been named to start in that lock spot vacated by Jack DeBellin. So another awesome mid-ranger. He's a tackle bot, just gets through so much work. He's up 4.6% on the new systems, which obviously suits guys who are pure workers. The minutes should be up. He's well over a point per minute in SuperCoach. So if he plays 60 minutes, you're looking at basically a keeper from a mid-range price.
Yeah, he's the guy that I've been trying to fit into my team after we saw that he was named. I've been trying all afternoon to try and get him into my team. I can't afford him and Jesse Colquhoun, so I'm going to have to make some sort of call there. But I think I may even lean Hamish Stewart now. I think under the new scoring system, he makes a ton of tackles, so I think he's going to be a big winner. And yeah, just we're kind of spoilt for choice with all the mid-range forwards.
I'll tell you what, Cameron Murray is on thin ice for Sangster Paradise with all these guys popping up today.
Yeah.
So I could go a little bit cheaper with someone like Hamish Stewart. Or the next guy on our list, Heilum Luki. We knew it was going to happen, but named to start on an edge for the Cowboys. It's huge news. And the stat on him, which I will get for you in a second, is that, he got 67 points in that final trial with a try, which is really good, with 40-odd in base. Plus, he averaged 61. Over his career, he's averaged 61 in games over 60 minutes. So another really good purchase. Which one are we going to pick?
I think I'm going to lean with him for now. But, geez, I really want both him and Hamish Stewart in my team. I think I'm just going to have to figure out a way to do it. I may have to, downgrade, a Keon Koloamatangi to a Toby Couchman or something to free up just a little bit more cash. Because I'm only $9,000 off being able to go Colquhoun straight to Hamish Stewart. So, I think I just have to get them both in.
There's so much happening in the back row. We don't know if Lasardi's going to be scoring that right edge back row spot. Joe Chan played that spot in the trial, so maybe he's a better option. You've got, honestly, there's 13 guys at back row that I'd be very happy with in my team. Our cheapies all got named, which is good news. Tom Chester, Sedu 2, Daniel Atkinson. SuperCoach Plus. You have a free trial right now, so get in there, fiddle around, look at the projections, work out your captains, the most popular players, all that sort of stuff. I'm sure the most popular players will change big time over the next few days leading into Vegas, so keep an eye on that. Plus, we've got content everywhere. Wilson's draft rankings are going absolutely gangbusters, and we were just reflecting before on how big draft has gotten.
Oh, mate, it's so good to see just how popular draft has gotten in the last few years. It's come so far, and it's great to see the draft content doing so well.
Yeah, we used to get paid out for your draft content saying, what is this rubbish?
Yeah.
And then, bang, it's just gone absolutely
Now it's flying.
Yeah, indeed. So check out the news section of the app for anything there. Okay, Knights v Cowboys is the first match at the Knights. Is there any love for Kalyn Ponga whatsoever? He was actually really popular at the start of the preseason. He was in the top 10 most popular players. But then, of course, missed all the trials with that foot injury, coming off a pretty serious injury. He is a little bit underpriced, but the scoring system doesn't suit him either. He's down 7.7%. At least with Sand and Smith on the bench this week, he probably kicked goals. But just can't see a world where I would bring Kalyn Ponga into my team. Yeah,
he does tick a lot of boxes, and the fact that Sandon Smith is not in the starting side, I do think helps him with the goal kicking. But I just think that for me, there's so many other fullbacks that I think I would rather have in my team. Kalyn Ponga would be like maybe just off the top of my head, like my 6th or 7th choice. Yeah. So I do like him, and I like a lot of fullbacks, but I think there's just a lot of other guys that I would rather have in my team.
Yeah, there's a guy who is playing against on the weekend who I'd probably rather have in Scott Drinkwater. We'll get to him in a second. Fletcher Sharpe at 5'8", big news. Trey Mooney starting again, big news. Jermaine McKewen, we've basically run through all this already. But Thomas Cant, there was chat that he started in the back row in the trials and kicked goals a little bit, which I was excited about. But that won't happen. He's on the bench, so definitely put a line through that. On to the Cowboys. I mentioned him just before. Scotty Drinkwater. I really want to make this happen because I look at the guys who could get off to a flyer this season, and Scott Drinkwater is number one on my list. He's got such an easy draw to start the year. The issue is that he's minus 5.9 on the new scoring system, so he's losing 4 or 5 points per game. I think he negates that with a really strong draw to start the year. Chuck the VC on him in Vegas. I really want to make this happen. It's much safer to stack the pack. We know that because they get all their points from tackles, which we know are up on the new system. It's much safer to do that. But there is a devil on my shoulder telling me to get Scott Drinkwater into the team.
Yeah, I had him in my team for literally the entire preseason until like 2 weeks ago when I made a bunch of other moves that I needed cash for. So I did the safe thing and I downgraded Scott Drinkwater to Isaiah Yeo. And I used that cash to improve a bunch of other positions. So I'm happy with the move that I made, but I still want Scott Drinkwater in my team so bad. But to be able to afford him now, I would have to do some downgrades that I don't really want to do. But I agree. He's got a great start to the year. And I think in the trials, I think in the second trial against the Panthers, he scored like 106 or something.
Yeah,
which
barely any game time.
Yeah, and there wasn't much base in it. It was a lot of creative, but I think he showed that, he's so influential in their attack that he can still score big under the new scoring system. So I wouldn't, if anyone's like on the fence, I would just be happy to lock him in, but I just can't afford him right now.
Kicking goals as well in that trial, and Clifford was playing in that trial too, so he's got the goal kicking duties ahead of Clifford. And his record as a goal kicker is actually sneakily good. And over his career, it is much better than Clifford. I don't have the stats off the top of my head, but it's something like 8% in goal kicking, which is significant.
Yeah.
So if you are worried about him losing the goal kicking duties, which I've heard spoken about a lot in SuperCoach circles, I don't think it's going to happen. Highly unlikely.
Yeah.
Tom Chester, great to see him named. Good cheapie. The issue, of course, is job security. They've got Zach Laybutt due back in round 3. But the mail, even early in the preseason, was that Chester would win this spot. It's his spot to lose, really. I'm not too worried about job security. If he loses his spot, like, who cares? He'll probably play a fair bit of NRL this year. He's a utility. He can cover lots of positions. One injury and he can come in and play wing or centre or even fullback as well.
Yeah, the mail, like you said, the mail before the preseason was that he had won it, and Laybutt did have a really impressive preseason, so it wouldn't have shocked me that if he would have started over Chester, if not for the suspension. So, I think a big game in Vegas with a good matchup, I think he basically just holds onto that spot indefinitely. And he is a potential starting option in Vegas because I think it's a good matchup for him.
On to Reed Marnie. So I've been hot on him all preseason, mainly thinking that he would play 80 minutes and get back to what he did in the Dogs, in sort of 2024, 2023. It's been a crazy year.
Yeah.
But they got Sonny Luke on the bench, not just in the 19, but number 14 on the bench, which shows that Marnie won't play 80 minutes. So for me, I've put a line through him. I'm instead going to go with Brandon Smith, who I think is looking pretty good to start at 9 for the Rabbitohs. He started there in the trial, so it makes sense that he would start the season there. Got a pretty good SuperCoach score there too, 48 points, almost all in base, with just a line break assist in there.
Yeah. I still have Reed Marnie in my team. I have accepted that he's most likely not going to play 80 minutes. There's a chance that Sonny Luke comes on and maybe Reed Marnie stays in the middle and just makes a bunch of tackles, but I think it's kind of unlikely. I'm sort of just expecting him to play 60 minutes, which, with how well he played in their trial match, I still think with 60 minutes he could be decent. But yeah, there's definitely some concerns that I've still got him for now, and I've been anti-Brandon Smith for the whole preseason, but I'm starting to come around now because he did look good the other day, and it does look like he's going to win that starting spot. So, yeah, there may be some changes to come from my team.
Yeah, I've been anti-Brandon too, but apologies to him. I think, I will be going with Brandon Smith to start the season, which frees up a lot of cash elsewhere. Yeah. You mentioned that trial. Reed Marnie got 70 points in that trial in quite limited minutes.
Yeah.
But only 25 in base in that, which does worry me. So when he doesn't get the attacking stats, we're going to see big price rises from him. So it's a no from me. On to the Doggies v the Dragons. Kiraz is back into that team, which is good. He's plus 4.1 on the new system. But of course, with all these Bulldogs players, they do have the buy in round 2. Any love for Stephen Crichton? A lot of people are keen on him. The scoring system suits him. He's plus 5.4. He's switched sides as well. So he's gone from the right to the left where he's got Kickow inside him. Look, he played a fair bit of fullback last year in attack, even though he was named at centre, which probably skews his stats a little bit. Look, he's kicking goals. He kicked goals in front of Matt Burton during the trial, so we know that he's going to kick goals. There's a lot to like, but as I said before, I've got a few guys ahead like Farnworth, Ero, Latrell.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. There's a lot to like, and he has a pretty solid base, and he has a lot of attacking upside as well. Sometimes playing in a bit of a fullback role in attack, and that left edge is going to be pretty exciting for the Bulldogs this year. So, he's a high upside play that's like relatively safe. So I don't hate it, but yeah, I just have several other guys ahead of him. It's sort of similar to Kiraz in that I think you can't really go wrong with them, but the buy in round 2 plus just a few guys ahead of them means I'm just not going to go there for now.
Yeah, but it's a no for me, but very good draft purchase.
Yep.
And it's going a bit lower than I would expect. On to my Dragons, who have got Setu into the team. He got 60 in base in the final trial. There were a gazillion tackle busts in there, offloads. Work rate's huge, 17 runs in there. So he is a guy who you could play in your 17 on a lot of weeks. I don't know if I will do it against the Bulldogs, who are a really good defensive team, but he is a bloke who, even if he doesn't score tries, could get you a half ton relatively easy.
Yeah, from what we saw in the trials, a very SuperCoach friendly game, bit of a tackle busting machine. So just lock him in as a purchase. You have to have him in your team. I won't be starting him for Vegas either. I think it's a rough matchup, but I do think he could still go well in this game. And I think he's going to be, assuming he stays in the side, he'll be in the cheapie of the year conversation, I think, by the end of the year.
Yep, big time. Daniel Atkinson has been named. Flano told us in October that he was, maybe not October, but a long time ago that he was going to be the halfback. He locked it in very, very early, and Flano is a man to his word. Atkinson has been named. Now, the big question is, first of all, are you running 2 cheapies at halfback? I hope you say no.
Definitely not.
Just don't do that.
I was running with that for a little bit, but yeah, it's just such a risky strategy. And I think definitely lock in one of him or Atkinson, but one of him or Sanders, yeah. But I would be leaning Atkinson, but pair him with a gun halfback, not another cheapie.
So there were 2 phases for me. At the start of the preseason, there were no cheapies.
Yeah.
Particularly, there were none at CTW. So I had 2 cheapies at halfback. That changed pretty quickly. Then the new scoring system was announced, and the stats said, halfbacks are dropping. Some of them are dropping by 9%. So I'm like, I don't want to stack the halfback slot, so I'll put 2 cheapies in there. Then I'm also like, if the halfback spot is so disadvantaged by this new scoring system, how are they going to make money? So I'm going with a gun and one of Atkinson or Sanders. I think it's Atkinson. I think his job security is good because Flanagan has backed him since October or whenever it was. Whereas I can see a world where the Raiders have a bit of a tough start to the year and Sanders could get dropped pretty easily. He is confirmed to kick goals though, which is a big boost for him.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him trial as well. If only we just saw 20 minutes, 40 minutes for him in the trial, it would make the decision a lot easier.
Yeah, I think the fact that we didn't see anything from them in the trials as well just makes it even easier for me to just lock in Atkinson. And we've only seen sort of limited, glimpses of them running the show in the past. But I think from what I have seen in the past, I'm been more impressed by Atkinson. So if you have to pick one of them, I'd be going with him.
From what we've seen from Atkinson's past stats, which is a decent body of work, it's not a huge amount of games, he should average 45 for the Dragons, which is pretty solid. That's a 200k rise.
Yeah.
Can Sanders match that? Maybe, potentially, probably, but I think we get a bit more certainty out of Atkinson.
For sure.
On to Toby Couchman. I really like him, so I reckon he's 11 points underpriced when you take into account the new scoring system plus the injury-affected games last year. So he's in my side.
Yeah, I really like him. At the moment, I'm sort of tossing up whether I go him or Keon, who is more expensive, but I think has like a pretty high ceiling. So I want Keon, who's also a bit of a pod, but I think I'm really tempted by Couchman, and that trade would free up some cash for me to make some other moves that I really like. But yeah, I'm into Couchman.
I was a little bit worried by Keon. I had him at the start of the preseason, then learned that he was getting knee surgery after the Ashes, and it was 3 months out. Then he played on the weekend in the trial. Limited minutes, but looked really good. Had like 13 runs and just generally looked good. So I'm kind of keen on him again, but he is expensive and there are so many good mid-ranges in the pack this year. So I think I'm going to have to fade him. Okay, that's it for teams, but we're going to run through a little bit of the big news facing SuperCoaches for next week. Of course, only the Vegas teams lock out. You can still have unlimited trades, change your team however much you want after the Vegas games. So only lock in whatever it is, let's say 5 players this weekend, and change your team as much as you want. The big news, I think the big story in SuperCoach right now, and we don't have an answer yet, is whether Lasati will be starting for the Storm. Joe Chan played on that right edge spot of Eli Katoa in the trial. Sean Bloor didn't play that game, so Lasati was on his side. But then they've got Liero out suspended for the first round. There's so many moving parts here. I've got no idea what's going to happen with Lasati, to be honest.
Yeah, I had Lasati in my team for basically the whole preseason. He seemed like the logical choice to replace Eli Katoa, but the whole situation is so murky for me now because, we've got Trent Liero to come back in round 3, and there's just so much uncertainty. I'm completely off the whole scenario, and at the moment, I'm just not going to go either Lasati or Joe Chan. If we... And we won't know for a few weeks either because, it could very easily happen that they both start round 1 and then or Sean Bloor comes back into the side and then Trent Liero comes back in and someone's going to drop out, but we won't know until round 3. So I'm just going to avoid the whole scenario, I think.
Yeah, one guy who you could go for is Jacob Laban, who looks like he's won a starting edge back row spot at the Warriors in place of what could have been Leka Halasima in that spot. Looks like they're going to play Leka Halasima off the bench as a bit of a utility. That's obviously a big blow for Halasima because he was a really popular SuperCoach player at stages in the preseason. But Jacob Laban, more of a sort of meat and potatoes, 0.8, 0.9 point per minute kind of player at a decent price. Any love for him?
I haven't really looked at him, to be honest, because he sort of just came out of nowhere. But he is a cheaper option, and we've seen some decent minutes out of him in the past, so he's someone I'll definitely take a closer look at. But I think we're just so spoilt for choices with cheapies and mid-ranges in the forward pack that there's plenty of options there. So I don't think I will go there for now. And yeah, I had Leka Halasima in my team at stages this preseason, but I think he is just an obvious sell now, and just got to get him out of your team.
Xavier Coates' Achilles injury gone for 10 weeks. I think that's going to be 8 weeks of the season. So, in the weekend in the trial, Hugo Peel, who was originally named well out of the 17, came in and played on the wing. Moses Leo, who was named on the wing, played centre. So you would think one of those guys fills that spot for round 1. Both of them are in cheapy range. Hugo Peel, a lot of people are saying, well, he's not even added to SuperCoach. That's how sort of left field he may seem to some people. But even really early in the preseason, guys like Dave Riccio were writing, Hugo Peel is in contention for the fullback spot. He could get that fullback spot over Suafa'alongo, who's been at the club for quite a while and building to that spot. So he's clearly highly rated. So if Hugo Peel, for example, gets that spot, comes in at base price, which he will, with dual positioning because he is a fullback who would be playing on the wing, Is he an option with the spectre of Zach Lomax hanging around that club?
Yeah, I do think he looked pretty good in the trial, and he did score a try, but he also looked quite raw. So for me, I don't think that Craig Bellamy would go there unless he actually had to. So I think it's an avoid for me for now. Like he could very well become a cheapie at some point in the season, but I think for now it's just someone to avoid.
There's plenty to watch at the Eels. So obviously Isaiah Yongi is a little bit of drama surrounding him at the moment. So keep an eye on that. Check out the website if you don't know what I mean. And Josh Adokar is out as well. So we'll see a reshuffle backline. Don't think anyone will benefit from a Supercoach perspective at this stage. The guy I want to talk to you about is Hamasi Makasini. So good in the trials. Probably the player of the trials. Yeah. Is he locked in for a starting spot there at the Tigers for their first game of the year, which is in round 2?
Yeah,
the bye in round 1.
It's hard to know because they don't start because they have the bye round 1, so we won't know until round 2. Yeah. And if you want him in your team before then, you have to pick him before he's played. But he was the most impressive player. I watched basically every single preseason game, and he was by far the standout of the whole tournament. He was the Tigers' best player in both games, and he literally could not have done anything more to win a starting spot. So I'd be pretty surprised. Obviously, it's a bit of a risk, so I wouldn't blame people if they opt to not start the season with him. But I think even if he doesn't win it, he's going to be a factor at some point this season. So I'm just going to save myself a trade at some point and just start the year with him.
Yep, he'll be in my team for round 1. Just watching him play. Every second comment you'd see on social media is that he looks like Jonah Lomu. Yeah,
exactly, yeah.
I mean, it's a fair enough comparison as well. So if you look like Jonah Lomu, you're good enough for Sangster Paradise. Brandon Smith, he's looking good for that starting hooker role. Keanu Kinney, only 18 points in the final trial, which was a lot below what we were expecting. Has that affected your view of him?
No, not at all. I still think he's so underpriced for what he has delivered in the past. So we know he can be a big point scorer, and I just think he's so underpriced. And he only scored 18, but from what I saw in that trial, and he only played limited minutes, but there was some very promising signs for the Titans' attack this year. And I'm not too concerned at all. I think you still got to lock him in.
How about Cody Walker? The old fella wound back the clock on the weekend. 3 line breaks and a try, plus a bunch of tackle busts in there, which to me shows that his running game is well and truly back. And that was the issue last year because he had all those soft tissue injuries, basically couldn't run, which is not a good place to be in if you are a running 5'8". But he did say in the post-match coverage that it's his first proper preseason in 3 years. He also said that he's going to have some fun this year on that left-hand side with Latrell, Dave Fafita, etc., Alex Johnson. So what at $399K, is he an option in what is a desolate 5'8" position?
Yeah, it's pretty. The 5'8" position is still really bleak, and he made my poor Sea Eagles look very silly on the weekend. So many people were messaging me like, "Don't rush to buy your grand final tickets because it's going to be a long year for Manly fans." But yeah, Cody Walker, good to see him healthy again, and I think the fact that he is fit and he looks really good does make him tempting, but he is getting pretty old, so there's a very good chance that he could pick up more injuries again throughout the season. But at that price, I do think he is pretty tempting. I won't be going there for now, but it would free up a lot of cash to upgrade elsewhere. So I don't hate it.
Yeah, look, I don't hate it. I can see why you would not spend a great deal of money at 5'8", but no, it's not for me. Just too much of a risk. That is it for our team's podcast. Big day. Big thanks to Will. So we'll be back tomorrow for our preview podcast. I'll see you then.